Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be adding in the pit that goes behind our player so that if we miss the ball, that the ball dies and we can eventually start a new game. So let's dive right in. First, we need to make a new game object. So come over here in the hierarchy, right click, and let's create an empty game object. We can call that our pit. And let's reset the position on that. So transform, click on those three dots and reset it. We just need to add a box collider 2D to this. And then here in the scene view, first we'll click on Edit Collider here. And then if you click and then press Alt, you can expand that. We want that to be pretty much the width there. We can bring this down and place it pretty much just down there. We want to make sure that we have space for our paddle there. I'm going to press play just to double check that is, yeah, that's plenty of room. So if I miss, it'll come down here and hit this box collider. This needs to be a trigger. So we'll, on the box collider, add that trigger. And then we're also going to add a new script to our pit game object. We'll add that component, new script. We'll just call it pit script. And let's open that up. Once we get our script open, we're going to take out the start and update function. We're going to add in a void of on trigger enter 2D. If you use autocomplete, it might add that private keyword. And it takes an argument of collider 2D, and it gives it a name of collision. I like to change that to other, just because it makes a little more sense in my mind of that whenever something hits this collider, we're talking about the other thing that's coming into contact with it. And so then we would say things like destroy, and then in parentheses, other dot game object with a capital O. Semicolon, let's save and check what happens there. So run that, hit, coming around. And yeah, so when that ball hits, it dies, and now I can't play the game anymore. The next thing we can do is restart our game. So in our game manager script, also first go and clean up this stuff, add your pit script to the scripts folder, go into scripts, we're going to go to our game manager, open that up. So then in our game manager, we added in this function called lose life. That takes away one of our lives that we set up at the beginning. It destroys that clone paddle, and then we can run setup game again. So whenever a ball hits that pit, we can call this function and take away a life and kind of restart the game. So let's do that. Add some space down here. So we're going to call from the game manager dot instance, and then we can go dot lose life. Open and close parentheses, semicolon, and save that. So now when we play, and I shoot that ball, so now it restarts and puts me back at the beginning. So we can't see it, but if we look at our game manager, I've also lost a life. My lives equal 2. Now, ideally, we would say, oh, hey, when you get to 0, then you can't play anymore. You're out of lives. So inside of Game Manager, we can adjust that. So I can select all of this code. Make sure you select each of those lines. Don't like halfway select any of these lines, because we're going to right-click and go to Surround With, and we're going to do an if statement. We're not choosing this first one. That hashtag kind of screws stuff up. Scroll down. Make sure you go to the actual just regular if statement. You can double click that or select it and hit enter. And so we'll say if true, then do those things. So we'll say if lives is greater than or equal to 1. So if we have 1 life, this will trigger. If we have 0 lives, it won't. So if we have 0 lives, we do want to check if we have game over. So let's also call this check game over when we lose that life. So we'll lose a life, and then we'll say from here, we'll also GameManager.instance.check game over. Why is that not popping up? Oh, we need to make this public as well. That's why it's not auto-completing for me. So we'll back that up. Check game over. And so every time we lose a life, we're going to check if we're dead or not. So I think that's pretty good for this video. Make sure you save your scripts, save all the scripts, save your scene file. Have to exit play mode again. In the next video, we will start setting up our camera and our canvas to actually display some of this information for us. All right, so see you then.